I sacrificed my humanity to save my daughter from the demon realm. Beyond the reinforced glass walls, the colony stretched across the barren plains of Kepler 438b, a distant planet with twin suns that painted the sky in gold and crimson. The world was harsh, unforgiving, but humans had adapted. And Alara had learned to survive here not just as a scientist, but as a mother. Her daughter, Lyra, a curious 7-year-old with wide brown eyes, peeked around the corner. "Mom, are you done yet?" she asked, her voice a mixture of excitement and worry. "Almost, Lyra," Alara said, giving her a reassuring smile. "Just a few more adjustments and then we can go outside, I promise." Lyra's small hand clutched a stuffed animal tightly, a soft, patched-up creature humans called a dream fox. It had been with her since infancy, a comforting reminder of home. Alara felt a pang of guilt every time she saw it. Her work demanded so much time, but she had no choice. She had to finish this experiment. The project was dangerous, even by human standards. She was trying to stabilize a rift, an anomaly in the fabric of space that had appeared unexpectedly in the laboratory's energy grid last week. Scientists had speculated it was a tier between dimensions, a gateway to something unknown. The alien researchers who worked alongside her called it the demon realm because of the strange energy readings it emitted. They avoided it at all costs. Humans, however, never backed down from the unknown. Alara's fingers flew across the console, adjusting frequencies and recalibrating the containment fields. Lights blinked in response, and the rift shimmered like liquid glass at the center of the lab. It pulsed with colors she could not name, a mixture of violet, green, and silver that seemed to move independently. "Careful," warned Dr. Zeiler, her alien colleague. Its long limbs trembled as it hovered near the observation deck. "The energy is unstable. One wrong move and—" "I know," Alara interrupted. Her eyes never left the rift. "I've calculated the probabilities. I can stabilize it. I just need a few more minutes." Lyra wandered closer, curious as always. "Mom, can I touch it?" she asked innocently. Alara froze. "No, Lyra." "Stay back," but it was too late. The little girl had already taken a cautious step forward. The rift pulsed violently. Its colors swirled faster and the air around it crackled with energy. Lyra's small hand stretched toward the shimmering surface, mesmerized. "Lyra!" Alara screamed, lunging forward. But the rift reacted first. A wave of force swept through the lab and Lyra vanished in a blink, leaving nothing but a whisper of energy behind. Alara collapsed to her knees, heart hammering. "No, no, no!" Her voice echoed through the lab. Dr. Zeiler reached out, but its voice was trembling. "She's gone, Alara. The rift. She's inside it. Inside it." The words were almost meaningless, yet terrifyingly real. Humans had always been explorers, but this was beyond exploration. This was a child trapped in a dimension no one understood. Alara's mind raced. She refused to panic. Panic did nothing. Humans survived where others failed because they adapted, they acted. She stood, wiped her tears, and approached the console. The rift pulsed again, smaller now, as if teasing her. And then a thought struck her, a dangerous, reckless thought. There had been research, old human experiments, on linking consciousness to different forms of energy. The idea was to allow the mind to survive in extreme conditions, even outside the human body. Most of it had been theoretical, most of it had failed, but Alara had no choice. She couldn't wait for someone else to solve this. She had to try. "Zeiler," she said, her voice sharp. "Help me build a Soul Link prototype. We have to reach her." The alien recoiled. "You want to enter the demon realm? That's impossible. No human can survive there. The energy will." "I don't care what you think is impossible," Alara snapped. "Lyra's my daughter. She's not something I can calculate probabilities for. I'm going in." Zeiler hesitated, then nodded. Humans were stubborn, yes, but sometimes that stubbornness produced solutions no other species could imagine. They worked through the night. Alara modified the Soul Link device, combining alien energy stabilizers with human neural mapping. The machine hummed with power, lights dancing across its surfaces like tiny stars. Finally, the moment came. Ilara sat in the chair, the neural interface connecting to her temples. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of what she was about to do. "Remember," Xyler warned, "this will change you. Part of your humanity, your physical form, your organic essence, will be consumed by the energy. You may never be the same." Ilara nodded. "I don't care. I only care about bringing Lyra back." With a final glance at the empty space where her daughter had vanished, Ilara activated the device. A wave of energy enveloped her, and the lab blurred. She felt herself being pulled apart, molecule by molecule, her consciousness stretching across dimensions. The demon realm revealed itself not with fire and shadow, as the name suggested, but with impossible beauty. The sky rippled like liquid crystal, landscapes twisted in angles her mind struggled to comprehend, and strange, luminous creatures floated gracefully through the air. Some seemed curious, others cautious, but none hostile, at least not yet. Ilara took a shaky step forward, sensing Lyra's presence. She reached out mentally, feeling the faint echo of her daughter's energy. It was small, fragile, but unmistakable. She moved toward it, navigating the surreal terrain with a mixture of instinct and logic. Her human mind, so used to problem-solving, found ways to interact with the environment, tapping energy patterns, harmonizing with vibrations, creating paths through obstacles. The aliens observing from her lab gasped. No species had ever adapted to this realm like a human could. Finally, after what felt like hours but could have been minutes, she found Lyra. The girl floated inside a sphere of silvery energy, eyes closed, breathing steady but unresponsive. "Ilara," a voice whispered. It wasn't her daughter, not yet, but it carried recognition, warmth, and hope. Ilara knelt, reaching toward the sphere. "Lyra, it's Mommy, I'm here, I'll get you out." The energy surrounding Lyra shimmered, responding to Ilara's thoughts, pulsing faster. The creatures nearby watched, seemingly confused by this strange display of human emotion. Humans were unpredictable, even in logic-driven energy fields. That unpredict was a weapon in itself. Ilara understood now that the only way to fully rescue Lyra would require a sacrifice. The soul link had limits. To stabilize the sphere, she would have to convert part of her own humanity into pure energy, something the aliens could not comprehend. Humans were willing to risk everything for love, even their own existence. But that thought would come later. For now, she had to get Lyra's attention, had to make the first connection. She whispered, "Lyra, open your eyes, look at me." A tiny flicker of light ran across the sphere. Lyra's eyelids fluttered, recognition sparked. "Mommy?" she asked, voice weak but real. "Yes, sweetie." "I'm here, you're safe now," Ilara said, though she knew the journey had only begun. The demon realm was vast, unpredictable, and full of dangers humans could not imagine. But she would face it all. Humans survived because they adapted. Humans persevered because they never gave up. And Ilara would prove that again. As the first connection between mother and daughter strengthened, a pulse of energy ran through the sphere, illuminating the surreal landscape. The creatures watched, intrigued and baffled. Humans were strange beings. They risked everything for love, and that made them powerful in ways the galaxy would never fully understand. Ilara took a deep breath, feeling Lyra's presence beside her, and whispered, "We'll get out together." And with that, the adventure had truly begun. Ilara felt the strange hum of the demon realm beneath her skin, like the world itself was alive. The energy pulses shifted with every step, colors bending and folding in ways that made her head spin. Yet despite the chaos, she kept her focus. Lyra's small presence pulsed like a beacon ahead, guiding her through the alien landscape. "This place, it's alive," she murmured to herself. The words were half awe, half warning. "But we can survive. We have to survive." She had learned quickly that thinking like a human mattered more than fear. Every creature, every shape, and every pulse of energy had patterns. They were predictable if you observed carefully. Her mind, trained by years of scientific research, mapped the strange physics of the realm, turning impossible angles and shifting terrains into paths she could navigate. Humans thrived where others hesitated. They didn't rely only on instinct, but on logic, creativity, and emotion combined. Lyra floated within a shimmering sphere of energy ahead, encased in a translucent barrier that pulsed with rhythmic light. Alara reached out mentally, testing the resonance between them. A faint tug returned. Lyra was responding slowly, as if her mind understood her mother's presence but could not yet act. Alara took a deep breath. She had to strengthen the link. Sitting cross-legged, she extended her consciousness further, feeling the strange energies flowing into her. The creatures nearby, shapes like glowing ribbons, hovering orbs, and angular forms, watched with curiosity. They had never seen a being reach out with pure emotion, with purpose rooted in love. "Lyra," Alara whispered, "you can hear me. Focus on me. Think of our home, the sky, the suns, the wind on Kepler 438b. Remember me." A flicker of recognition passed through Lyra's barrier. The energy sphere pulsed faster, responding to her mother's words. Alara smiled, relief flickering across her face, but she knew better than to relax. The demon realm was unpredictable. She began to experiment with the environment. She discovered that some of the floating platforms responded to thought and emotion. By visualizing pathways and projecting calm intent, she could make stable bridges out of shifting energy. Step by step, she built a route toward Lyra. The creatures followed cautiously. Some were curious, drifting close but never touching. Others emitted strange vibrations that disturbed the ground. Alara observed carefully, noting patterns. Human intelligence thrived here. Analysis, experimentation, and improvisation allowed her to move where instinct alone would fail. Halfway to Lyra, a wave of energy surged through the ground. A ribbon-like creature darted in front of her, sending sharp pulses through the air. Most species would have fled. Alara paused, then observed. The pulses followed a pattern, rapid, steady, repeating. It wasn't random, it was a puzzle. Humans solved puzzles. Alara mirrored the pulse with her own energy output, using her consciousness to synchronize with the pattern. The creature paused, then shifted aside, allowing her to pass. She could feel Xyler monitoring from the lab, amazed that a human could interact directly with the entities without weapons or aggression. Finally, she reached the sphere containing Lyra. It floated above a jagged energy chasm, flickering with instability. Reaching it required precision and courage. One wrong step and her connection could shatter, leaving her daughter trapped forever. Alara steadied herself. "We can do this," she whispered. She extended her mind fully into the sphere, her consciousness overlapping with Lyra's. Tiny sparks of recognition sparked between them. Lyra's eyes fluttered open. "Mommy?" Lyra asked, voice trembling. "Yes, sweetie, I'm here. Hold on," Alara replied, focusing all her energy on stabilizing the sphere. The energy surrounding Lyra pulsed violently. Alara realized that to keep her safe, she had to merge part of her essence with the barrier. It was risky. She could lose herself. But humans acted when others hesitated. Humans risked the impossible for those they loved. Taking a deep breath, Alara began. Her consciousness flowed into the sphere, blending with its energy. She felt herself changing, her human form diminishing, replaced by pure, radiant essence. Lyra's sphere stabilized, glowing steadily, her breathing smooth and calm. The creatures nearby reacted strangely. They were not aggressive, but they were puzzled, watching a human merge with the environment rather than trying to fight it. Humans were different. Their strength wasn't physical, it was adaptability, creativity, and courage. Alara guided Lyra's sphere carefully across the chasm, each movement controlled with thought alone. The path ahead shifted constantly, requiring constant adjustments. Sometimes the bridge she created dissolved, forcing her to rebuild it in midair. Each time she learned, adapted, and succeeded. Finally, they reached solid ground. Lyra's sphere hovered safely above it. Alara allowed herself a moment of relief. She had done what others said was impossible: navigate the demon realm, reach her daughter, and stabilize her energy barrier. But there was no time to rest. To escape fully, they needed to cross the central rift, the heart of the dimension, where energies collided violently. Observing from the lab, Xyler warned her that the forces there could tear her consciousness apart. Alara looked at Lyra and smiled faintly. "Don't worry, we've come this far. Humans survive because we adapt. We find solutions when none exist, and we never give up on each other." The journey to the central rift was treacherous. Energy storms whipped across their path, strange creatures darted in and out of existence, and the terrain twisted in impossible angles. But Alara's human mind was precise. She noticed patterns in the chaos, creating safe pathways and timing their movements perfectly. Lyra floated beside her, the link between them growing stronger. She could sense her mother's determination, her cleverness, her unwavering love. In the alien realm, these qualities were unfamiliar, unpredictable, and powerful. Finally, they reached the edge of the central rift. It swirled violently, a vortex of light and shadow. The energy screamed around them, threatening to unravel everything Alara had done. Alara knew the final step required a greater sacrifice. She could stabilize Lyra completely, but only if she gave up a permanent part of her humanity. Her body in the human dimension would never be the same, but she didn't hesitate. Humans often gave everything for family, for survival, and for hope. She reached out mentally, extending her consciousness into the rift itself. Energy surged into her, and she felt herself changing. Her thoughts became clearer, sharper, and more focused. Her physical form dimmed in the human world, but here, in this impossible space, she became a being of light, a guiding force. The rift reacted, stabilizing slightly as her human ingenuity merged with its chaos. Lyra's sphere glowed brighter, the barrier solidifying. The creatures around them paused, observing the human in awe. Humans did not dominate with force. They transformed environments, solved impossible problems, and inspired others simply by acting differently. "Ilara," Lyra's voice trembled slightly. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Alara said, though she felt the change deeply. "We just need to take one last step. You can do it, Lyra, trust me." Together, they moved toward the heart of the rift. Energy swirled around them, shapes forming and dissolving with chaotic beauty. Alara guided Lyra with precise thought patterns, merging her mind with the energies to create a pathway that no other species could navigate. Step by step, they advanced. Each pulse of the rift tested their connection, but Lyra mirrored her mother's focus. Slowly, steadily, they approached the exit, a shimmering portal that would lead back to the human dimension. At the edge, Alara paused. She looked at her daughter, whose eyes shone with understanding and trust. "You have to go first," she said. "I'll hold the pathway open for you." Lyra nodded, stepping forward into the portal. The light enveloped her, and for a moment, Alara feared the worst. But Lyra emerged on the other side, safe, falling into the arms of Xyler and the other scientists who had been monitoring. Alara remained, her consciousness still intertwined with the demon realm. She had given part of herself, her humanity, her organic essence, to save her daughter, but it was not the end. She had proven that humans were different, that they adapted, solved the impossible, and acted with love and courage where others would fail. Watching Lyra safe, Alara felt a spark of hope. She could not return fully, but she had become a bridge between worlds, a symbol of human ingenuity and sacrifice. Humans survived where others could not because of strength alone, but because of creativity, courage, and love. And Alara had shown that, even in the demon realm, humans were unstoppable. Alara hovered at the edge of the rift, feeling the immense energies swirl around her. The demon realm pulsed, alive with colors, patterns, and vibrations that no human had ever seen before. Her consciousness had already changed. She no longer felt entirely human, but she didn't regret it. Every pulse of energy, every ripple, reminded her of Lyra, the reason she had come this far. The portal back to the human dimension shimmered faintly ahead, the exit that would reunite her daughter with safety. But the path was unstable. The rift itself resisted, chaotic and unpredictable. To open it fully, Alara realized she would have to merge even more of her essence with the energies of the demon realm. It was the ultimate sacrifice, one that would leave her forever altered. Alara, a soft voice whispered in her mind. It was Lyra-S, but some presence within the realm. Do you understand the cost? I do, she replied firmly. Humans understood costs better than any other species. They measured risks, they adapted, and most importantly, they acted when the situation demanded it. I do it to save my daughter. She extended her consciousness further, feeling her organic humanity dissolve into light. Her body, her human shape, became a tool rather than a prison. Her mind spread across the realm, touching energies that pulsed like living veins. Lyra's sphere responded instantly, stabilizing, brightening, humming with life. As she merged, the demon realm's creatures gathered around, curious and cautious. They had never seen a human act like this, not fighting, not fleeing, but giving themselves entirely to solve a problem. They could not understand love the way humans did, yet they recognized the effect: energy bending, pathways forming, chaos turning to order. Alara's human ingenuity, her mind, her creativity, her emotional intelligence, was more powerful than brute force. It shaped the impossible into something achievable. Lyra, she whispered gently, you're almost safe. One more step. Lyra's small hand reached out, mentally connecting with her mother. Mom, I can feel you. I can do this. The barrier around Lyra pulsed with synchronized energy, responding to their combined intent. The portal flickered and expanded, a gateway bright with hope. It was just enough to allow Lyra to pass. Alara, Xyler's voice echoed faintly from the human dimension. We see the pathway. Lyra can make it if you hold it open. I know, she replied. She had always known. Humans never hesitated when it mattered. They adapted. They persevered. They did what others called impossible. With a surge of energy, Alara focused every ounce of her being on the portal. She became light, became energy, became the bridge between worlds. Lyra, guided by her mother's presence, stepped through. The portal shimmered, closing slightly behind her, and Lyra tumbled into the lab, safe and breathing. Alara stayed behind. Part of her remained in the demon realm, part of her tied to the human world through Lyra. She felt her humanity fading, her body diminished in the physical dimension, but she also felt alive in a new way. Humans thrived not only in bodies but in minds and hearts. She had become a living proof of human adaptability. Lyra ran to the scientists, her small form trembling with relief. Mommy, she's still there, she said. She's different, but she's okay. Xyler and the others looked at the portal, awe on their alien faces. Incredible, Xyler whispered. No species could have done that, only humans. Lyra ran back to the portal's edge, reaching her mother mentally. Mom, can you hear me? Yes, sweetie, Alara replied, her voice faint but strong. I'm here, and I always will be. You're safe now, that's what matters. The aliens surrounding the lab began to understand. Humans were not just resilient. They were ingenious, courageous, and selfless. They used love and intelligence together, solving problems no other species could imagine. Humans didn't fight the universe. They understood it, adapted to it, and found a way to thrive within it. Over the next few days, the lab adjusted to Alara's new form. She existed as radiant energy, able to interact across the rift with thought alone. She could no longer touch Lyra physically, but their bond was stronger than ever. Lyra learned to communicate directly with her mother through mental resonance, a connection that no alien could replicate. Ilara observed her daughter, pride swelling in her radiant form. Lyra began to explore the lab, curious and fearless. "Mom," she said, "can you teach me everything about science and energy and the universe?" "I can," Ilara replied, joy sparkling in her mind. Humans thrived on curiosity, and now her daughter would carry that forward. "We will explore everything together." The alien scientists studied Ilara carefully, documenting her existence. They realized humans were unique in ways that could not be measured by technology alone. Humans combined intellect with emotion, creativity with courage, and determination with selflessness. No other species could do what Ilara had done. Even Lyra noticed the difference. "Mom, humans are special," she said softly. "Even when it's impossible, we don't give up." Ilara smiled, her energy rippling gently. "That's right. Humans survive because we adapt. Humans thrive because we care. And humans, we never stop trying, no matter how hard it gets." Word of the rescue spread across the colony. Other species watched in disbelief as a human had entered the demon realm, navigated its impossible landscape, and saved a child without weapons, without aggression, and without surrendering hope. The galaxy began to see humans differently, creatures whose strength came from mind, heart, and courage. Ilara, though no longer fully human in body, became a symbol, a bridge between worlds. A proof that humans were not just survivors, but pioneers, problem solvers, and protectors. Her sacrifice had not weakened her, it had transformed her, showing that humanity's power lay in creativity, love, and determination. Lyra grew stronger each day, inspired by her mother's example. She began to study the rift, the energy patterns, and the science that had allowed her mother to survive. One day she would go further, exploring the galaxy and the dimensions beyond, carrying forward the human legacy of courage and ingenuity. Ilara watched, proud. "Go, Lyra. Explore, learn, create. Humans make the impossible possible, and now it's your turn." Lyra reached out mentally, connecting with her mother's energy form. "I will, Mom, I promise. Humans, we really are different and amazing." Ilara pulsed with joy. "Yes, and you, Lyra, are proof that humanity's future is bright, brave, unstoppable." The demon realm itself seemed to shift, acknowledging the bond between mother and daughter, recognizing that humans were unlike any other species it had encountered. They did not dominate with force. They did not conquer with violence. They thrived with courage, intelligence, love, and the will to adapt. Ilara's energy lingered at the edge of the rift, a permanent bridge between worlds. She had sacrificed her humanity in body but amplified it in essence. The galaxy would never forget this moment, never forget that humans could face impossible odds, solve unsolvable problems, and act with a depth of emotion no other species could replicate. And Lyra, safe and inspired, carried forward her mother's legacy. The human story continued, as it always did, unyielding, creative, compassionate, and unstoppable. In the quiet of the lab, as the sun set over Kepler 438b, Lyra whispered softly, "Thank you, Mom. Thank you for showing the universe what humans can do." And somewhere in the shimmering energies of the demon realm, Ilara pulsed in response, her radiant light spreading across dimensions. Humans were different. Humans were remarkable. Humans were unstoppable. The galaxy had learned something new that day. The heart of humanity was not just in survival. It was in courage, ingenuity, and love. And as long as humans existed, no challenge, no rift, no realm, no impossible obstacle could ever truly defeat them.